Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Colloid for YouTube. I'm back with another Dark Shadows video for you guys and gals. This is episode 100. Review and retrospective. I'll get into the retrospective here in a moment, probably by the end of this video. Because what I'm going to do is what are the first 100 episodes of Dark Shadows by character. And I think that makes the most sense. I'm not just talking Victoria Winters. I'm talking Vicky, Elizabeth, Burke, Carolyn, David, Roger, Sam, Maggie, Joe. You have really 9 main characters for the first 100 episodes. Bill Malloy, he doesn't quite make 100. I'm going to hell for that one. He's a corpse, right? Oh my god. So this episode, oh god, it was written by Ron Sprout, directed by Leela Swift. And this episode actually starts off where any episode should, the drawing room of Collinwood. And you have Victoria Winters and Carolyn Stoddard talking about the pen again. And this is more Vicky trying to make sure she gets every bit of correct information about the pen from Carolyn. That yes, it was Roger. She reiterates, yeah, it was Roger that took it from her. It was Roger who lost the pen. Roger was meant to give the pen back to Burke Devlin on the night Bill Malloy died, but Uncle Roger lost the goddamn pen. And Roger is the one who took the pen from Vicky's desk. Remember, Vicky initially accuses David of taking it. And she even says this later on. She thought David took the pen. So as they're having this conversation, Vicky changes her mind about Burke because now she believes she knows the truth. She believes that Roger killed Bill Malloy. Now I'm going to get into the reasons Roger hides the pen, and I'll get into this when they get to the episode where Roger gets arrested. I mean, Roger's going to get arrested. Not this episode, but soon, I promise. Not for child abuse either. You would think that would happen. Though David's never arrested for attempted murder either. So, what do? Boys will be boys. Sort of. You gotta love Dark Shadows for all the craziness that goes on in these episodes, right? I do. So they're having this conversation. Carolyn, tells Vicky, because Vicky tells her, what if somebody finds out you're going to go out on a date with Burke? She goes, nobody's going to find out. Eavesdropper David Collins is listening, and just beyond the wall, he's standing right there. Remember, the drawing room doors are open, so he can hear them. The only way they can really hear you when the doors are closed is if you're shouting. Like if you have the doors closed and you're talking, they can't really hear you. If you're just talking like at a low tone, they've painted the story that, hey, nobody can hear you when the doors are closed and you're talking in a normal voice. But if you're shouting, it's a different story. With the doors open, everything's fair game, and anybody can hear you at any given time if they're in the house and they're in the vicinity of the drawing room, especially if they're in the foyer. And David is in the foyer, hiding. He doesn't. By the way, he makes his presence known to them. What I love most about this episode is it's not filler at all. In fact, you get David Collins going to his dad about Carolyn going on a date with Burke. David, by episode 100, I can't wait to get into him by the time I end this episode, because there's a lot to get to from a character perspective. with each you're getting a retrospective of each character by the end of this episode. So I'll save Dave. I'm saving my character retrospectives. I'm trying to behave myself for once. Um, so oh, by the way, the sets you get in this episode are the drawing room, the foyer, Burke Devlin's hotel room, and for the first time ever, you get the inside of Carolyn's room. Well, not the first time, but you more get the inside of it. It's not just a glimpse where Carolyn goes in and gets a key to unlock something. Because remember, there was a duplicate key of the dresser drawer in Vicky's room and her room. And Carolyn and Roger are having a conversation. Roger's like, "How dare you?" He is cutting a promo on her. I know I jumped. I'll get back to Vicky and Burke here in a moment. He is cutting a promo on her, and this is the end of the episode. Sorry, I'll jump back. I apologize. I'm not behaving myself after all. So after the scene with Carolyn and Vicky, you do get David telling his dad, "Hey, Carolyn's going to go on a date with Burke." Vicky goes to Collinsport and sees Burke. She takes the car. She does not walk. Nobody knows she goes there, goes to see him, and she tells him, "I think Roger killed Bill Malloy." And he says, "You mind repeating that to me?" I love Mitchell Ryan's reaction. It is so goddamn good in this episode. The reaction is worth the watch alone. If you want price of admission for this episode, that is your price of admission. Burke Devlin's verbal reaction. They ain't just facial reaction. You want to repeat that to me? Is my favorite line in this episode. Yes, I have a favorite line, and that is it. There's another. I love though how they're debating how to go about handling this because the pen has gone missing, and most likely Roger has destroyed it or gotten rid of it. And that's what they're talking about too, because Vicky does say, "I thought it was David who took the pen." Look, the greatest thing about characters is their flaws. It helps for all the ghosts you get in episode 100 and mention of ghosts. What helps keep Dark Shadows grounded is its characters and the reality of them committing errors. It's one of my favorite things about the 1,125 episodes of Dark Shadows. For all our praise of these characters, and all their and some of their supernatural abilities, they make just as much human mistakes as you and I, because they goddamn are human for the most part, unless you're talking about the Phoenix and probably Count Patofe. See, I don't believe Patofe is fully human for the most part. He bleeds like human, but I don't think he has a mom and dad, in my opinion. So you have this conversation going on between Burke and Vicky, and Burke does ask Vicky, "Is there any chance that it would come up that you would know about the pen?" And she goes, "No, I don't see how, because I didn't let on that I knew," and she didn't. But she did initially get suspicious of Burke. She did do that. And then she was skeptical of Burke she didn't want Carolyn to go near him. She wouldn't give a reason. And this is something Carolyn brings up to Roger, which Carolyn says to Roger, "Yeah, I told her about how you lost the pen the night Bill Malloy died." And Roger puts two and two together. You get a conversation too of Vicky and Burke where Burke says, "If I didn't feel you were safe in that house, I wouldn't send you back." Well, Burke, buddy, about that. because this leads to Carolyn and Roger's conversation in Carolyn's room. I love how they shoot this. This is my favorite shot. The reflection of the characters in the mirror. I love it. Anytime you can use a mirror in your camera shot, I'm a sucker for it. I really am. I love that shit because I just think it's cool as hell. And they're having this conversation. You see the mirror, Carolyn and Roger standing in front of the mirror. Because again, Carolyn's trying to get ready for her date with Burke Devlin at the Blue Whale. And Roger's all, I forbid it. I forbid it. You're not my dad. you know, Roger has enough trouble controlling David, his actual child, and he's trying to control his niece. And that ain't gonna work. Come on, you know where this is going. But I will say, I do love how Carolyn does say, well, Vicky was against Burke initially too. She was trying to warn me to stay away from. Then she changed her mind. I was talking to her about how you lost, about how you took the pen from me and you lost it the night Bill Malone, and Roger's putting two and two together that Vicky probably knows that he had the pen last. Does this make Burke a suspect in the murder of Bill Malloy? I got news for you. You ready before I get to my retrospective? He's not the only suspect by the time this episode hits. Because I'm sorry, Matthew Morgan has made himself a suspect in the eyes of the viewer. And what makes Matthew a suspect, I don't care how loyal you are, you're pushing a body back in the water, and that was well before this episode ever hit. He lied about, first of all, he lies about the body. Oh, it was just seaweed. It was just a clump of seaweed. He lies about the body. He lies about he pushed the body back in the water like the sheriff told him. He told the sheriff he wasn't thinking, and Sheriff Patterson's like, nah, I'd say you were thinking real good. Because if I were the killer, I'd push the body back. Come on. If you don't think Matthew's a suspect after that episode, and that's well before this, come on. Sam's a bit of a suspect, but he's less of a suspect. Your two main ones are Matthew and Roger. I love how Ron wrote this episode. I love how Leva filmed this episode. My favorite Dark Shadows director is Leva Swift, and with reason, because she does such beautiful work with the cameras. I love when she shoots people's feet to build mystery of who it is. Even when she shoots Barnabas. There's times she shoots Barnabas from the feet and you see the cane. It's Barnabas, but goddamn, that's creepy as shit. Especially when you see it's nighttime and it's just creepy. So here's my overall retrospective of Dark Shadows characters. If you ask me, what's the first 100 episodes with our characters? With Vicky, it's a search for her lineage. It's a search to find out who her parents were. Because really, for the first, 80 to 90 episodes, this woman is searching for her parents. By the time you get to episode 100, that sort of has hit a stand. It has slowed. It's hit a standstill almost. But for the majority of these episodes, she is asking, she is looking. With Burke Devlin, it's a search for the truth of what happened the night he drove that car. It's about a search for the truth from Roger, from what really happened. For Sam Evans, it's a search for courage to reveal the truth of what he knows. For Maggie Evans, it's a search to find out why her father has been drinking all these years? Is it just because it's, and she knows it's not just because of the loss of her mother. Which I'll get into once they get into Sam had a decision to make, and you sort of feel sorry for Sam a bit. For Elizabeth, it's a search for not just stability, but some sort of normalcy for her nephew, and some peace of mind. A search for happiness for her daughter. She wants her daughter married. She wants her daughter away from all this. Elizabeth has been on these grounds for 18 years. She does not want her daughter to follow suit. Joe Haskell is searching for love. He is searching for a normal life. Roger is searching for a way to avoid his responsibility of being a father, just the way he found a way to not be a responsible husband. Now he doesn't want to be searching for a way to get out from under being a dad. He's searching for a way to get rid of Victoria Winters, to have her leave, and that way he can get rid of David. You have every character doing one thing, searching for something. They're all searching for something. You can say, well, Elizabeth has control of the canner. Yeah, she does. I'm not denying that at all. But you know what she doesn't have control over? People. She tries to manage that, but she has no control over the unforeseen things that are coming. Which brings me to the ghost. Our other characters. The first mention of ghosts is in the very first episode of Dark Shadows. When you hear about chains rattling, that was always a cue that there was ghost in any show or any movie I ever watched that was black and white and had sort of a spooky feel to it. The first mention you get of a death is on Widow's Hill, is episode 5. You get Josette. You hear about Josette. Who do you hear about Josette from? Sam Evans. Sam Evans. You get the legend. You get Josette. You hear a house of tears. Remember, by this episode, Vicky has heard the crying. She's heard the crying. So there is you get the ghosted. You get Victoria Winters seeing a ghost standing in the foyer at the entrance of the drawing room. She calls out, but they don't answer. You get a definite ghost sighting of Josette. Nobody sees her. And finally, remember, Vicky was a doubting Thomas. After seeing the ghost of Bill Malloy, she's not a doubting Thomas no more. She knows the supernatural exists. I would say that's what Dark Shadows is missed for the first 100 episodes. You have characters searching for something. And really they're not done either by any long shot. Because the search for the answers to the question inside these characters' minds, there's always new questions that are brought up. And that's one thing the writers do not get enough credit for. They do not get enough credit for putting new questions in these characters' minds. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed the retrospective. You guys have a lovely, lovely day.